It's a three-part drama. We've seen the first. It's the story of the first 6 months of the pandemic in the UK as it unfolds in one hospital. The drama is based on Dr. Rachel Clark's book, which sort of charts her own experiences working on the front line during the pandemic. It stars the actress Joanne Froggatt, who plays the lead character, Dr. Abby Henderson. And they've both been speaking to BBC Hereford and Worcester's Tony MacDonald. Have a listen.
It was an incredible experience. It really, really was. From the offset, from the very first stages from my side of reading the scripts, which made me cry actual tears just reading them in my head, and that's never happened to me before in 27 years of reading scripts. I've definitely welled up reading a script, but I've never had tears, rolling down my face. It was a huge responsibility because the whole ethos of Breathtaking as a drama was to be, as authentic as possible, as truthful as possible.
Often if I chat to a colleague about COVID, within moments they're in tears, they're crying recollecting it, and they feel so pleased that ITV is putting this drama on air, because it feels as though our experiences are being heard. People are going to bear witness to what that was truly like, and it's important to do that, because otherwise how do we learn lessons for doing things better next time there's a pandemic?
You see, I owe Tony MacDonald because I heard that yesterday afternoon on BBC Hereford and Worcester, and I thought, I've got to watch that, and I'm so glad I did. Did you? Dr. David Nicholl is an NHS consultant neurologist from Worcestershire. He's also the Lib Dem candidate for Bromsgrove. He was one of 100 NHS staff invited to the premiere of Breathtaking, and he joins us now. Dr. David, good morning.
Good morning, Malcolm.
I thought it was incredible, this show, set against the backdrop of the government announcements saying one thing and what we were looking at in the hospital telling a completely different story. What do you think?
It was an incredibly tough watch, but I'm not exaggerating when I think it's the most accurate medical drama I've ever seen. I'm actually quite cautious what I say, because there's certain things in your life you kind of put in a box.
Yeah.
And don't talk about them. But I think it was superbly done. In fact, I spoke to the director and, just, how did you do that intubation thing? Because it literally looked like they, intubated one of the actors. So it is a tough watch. But I think, the Times gave it 5 stars today, which I think was deserved. Equally, I can think of friends of mine who I know just won't be able to watch this. If I think of a neighbour of mine whose husband died of COVID.
Yeah.
I think it's really tough, but well done for them making it. I mean, really, it was, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but particularly in episode 3, just the way in which information was controlled was something that really, really annoyed me. And I actually don't think it helped, because our comm strategy was that someone from Hereford Worcester rang up a local hospital. They got directed to London, which was nuts, because actually it fed into the kind of anti-vax agenda, the empty hospital type stuff. And even the last 24 hour stuff I've tweeted up, masks don't work, and it's just, it was a horrible time, but I think it was an incredibly brilliantly done drama.
Now, you were on the front line of the COVID pandemic, and from what you're telling me already, I can tell that Breathtaking, as I thought, is very realistic. What bits, and this is difficult because we've only seen one, or at least I have, what bits most related to you, do you think?
Oh, gosh. So many bits. I mean, there's one of the characters in the first episode, it was absolutely spitting image of one of my nursing colleagues who got very, very seriously ill, and didn't die but survived. And just some of the other stuff in terms of, but equally there's other things. I can remember. I mean, I always felt I was a witness rather than a victim, so I really feel for my nursing colleagues who had to say, and as a neurologist, I would be visiting. But I can remember going into an operating theatre, and I hadn't been in an operating theatre in 30 years, and that's because that's where the ventilators were. I can remember on a Friday, seeing critical care consultants all done up saying this patient going to Newcastle, this patient going to Bradford, because there are no ITU beds, and the patient being shifted in just like the worst commute ever, you know. So it is a tough watch, but I think it's really, really important people to know just how bloody hard people worked and the challenges they faced, and also the care that was given. I think particularly because Rachel, the writer, is a palliative care consultant, some of the end-of-life scenes are just very, very moving.
I can imagine that the premiere must have been, I can hear the emotion in your voice, Dr. David. I would imagine the premiere was filled with emotion.
It was, but equally, I know it's going to sound odd, but it was actually nice meeting friends that I've known for years. In fact, one particular friend who I've only known through Zoom, you know, a colleague that I've worked with on a lot of things. You know, we actually did the charity auction to raise PPE when that was running short, you know, to meet them for the first time and things. So,
yeah.
Although there were hard things, equally I can think of friendships that I've made because of what happened, which will never be lost. And so I think it's also, you know, although it's tough, it's also worth thinking of some of the good things that came out of that as well, basically. But I mean, incredibly tough watch. But equally, as I said, I've got friends of mine who worked on ITU who won't be able to watch it, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes in your life you just have to put something in a box and move on, you know. But equally, it's good to talk about it too.
Absolutely. I think I turned to my wife and she turned to me almost at the same time, and we said almost the same thing. And it was roughly, I can't believe we lived through that.
Oh, I know. I mean, some of them, you know, I mean, one particular incident I remember having to see a patient on ITU, and they had a stopwatch, you know, and the next of kin literally had 15 minutes to visit them to say goodbye to the relative, and it was just horrible, absolutely horrible. I never, ever, ever want to go through that again.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and speaking so honestly about it, Dr. David Nichol. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next two episodes. I think it's really important that actually we do remember it.
It's really important because, as I said, you know, I know one hospital in the region that literally got approached by the Wall Street Journal. They had to go through London, and that's just mad. You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. Yeah, incredible. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for talking to us about it.
Thanks a lot.
Dr. David Nichol is an NHS consultant neurologist from Worcestershire. He's the Lib Dem candidate for Bromsgrove. He was invited to the premiere because he was on the front line. And the ITV show Breathtaking continues. It's 3 episodes. We've seen 1. Powerful stuff.